This is on mute before you close it. This is on mute before you close it. Okay, Ms. Rojas, we are live and ready when you are.
Okay, I'll bring this meeting to order of the Seldovia City Council of Monday, November 9th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nathan?
Here.
Ms. Sweat? Here. Mr. Colbert?
Here.
Mr. Morrison?
Here.
Ms. Rojas?
Here.
Ms. Payton? Here. Okay, you have a quorum.
Great. And at this moment, I'd like to welcome our new council member, Ms. Payton. I can't tell who all is in the audience right now. Or not in the audience, but the council members. Who have we got there? I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Is that right?
Yes, and then in the audience, we have Dean Lent, and then there's myself and Radzi as your technical support.
Okay, great. And to council, because you look so tiny on my screen, if I miss you, if you've got something to say, I'm not really sure, to either wave your hand or let me know when you want to speak. I'm not sure how well it works for me seeing you so small there, but Madam Clerk, if you would help out with that, that'd be great. Okay, if we could go to the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Are you going to put up a flag, Heidi?
On this system in the chamber, so but we can use
Oh,
this.
gotcha. Okay, my mistake. All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll fix that time for next time, Ms. Rojas.
Okay. All right, we have excused absences of our Mayor Campbell. And do I have a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Second.
Madam
All
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to amend the agenda to move item L2, considerations of small business economic development rental buildings, to L1, and move item L1, city manager hiring considerations, possible executive session, to L2.
I'll second that.
I make a move
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor, Madam Clerk?
It'll be for the amendment. The roll call is Nathan,
Aye.
Sweat, Colbert,
Aye.
Morrison,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Payton. And on the main motion to move to approve the agenda as amended, it is Nathan,
Aye.
Sweat, Colbert,
Aye.
Morrison,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Payton. Motion passes.
I'm sorry you cut out, Heidi.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, item E, consent agenda. We have, Madam Clerk, I'll send that to you.
Minutes of the regular meeting, October 26, 2020, as presented in your laydown.
Okay,
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
all those in favor, Madam Clerk?
Nathan,
Aye.
Ms. Sweat, Mr. Colbert,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Ms. Rojas,
Aye.
Ms. Payton. Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item F, we have no mayoral proclamations. Item G, public presentation prior notice. We have none that I see. Item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk?
I do see a hand raised, Acting Mayor Rojas. It's not Ms. Laurel Hiltz.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You hear me, Vivian?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Laurel.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all for the opportunity to share with you tonight. Just wanted to kind of review a few things that are coming up for the community and just a few items that I had of note. The Chamber of Commerce had its November meeting, and at that meeting we did discuss this is the time of year that we put out our annual list of events that will be happening in the summertime. We do that in partnership with the Homer Chamber of Commerce and other agencies that do post online and make publications that list what events are happening. And so I'll be working as part of the marketing committee for the chamber to reach out to businesses and individuals to ask them if they will be returning to having their annual events. Those are, for examples, are things like the Jackaloff Bay 10 Miler, the Seldovia Arts Council Summer Solstice Music Festival, the Chainsaw Carving Contest, etc. So just to note that this is the time of year that we have that conversation. And so it's a big thing for people to be thinking about how they might be able to go about putting on events and having them happen in the community. So I personally really miss the live music and the concerts and the chances to get together with folks. So I hope we can find ways to do that successfully. And with that, we did have a Healthy Chatter presentation on Friday in which Crystal Collier, Dr. Gear, and another number of other people presented and shared about our local COVID testing. And if you did not have an opportunity to hear that presentation, it is posted on the Chatterbox, it's on the SVT Community News Facebook group, as well as on our Healthy Chatter Facebook group. And you do not have to be a member of Facebook in order to see it in our Healthy Chatter group. You can actually just go to Facebook and Healthy Chatter and find that link. And if you need the link, let me know. It was about a 1 hour discussion, really good conversation, and a chance for people to ask questions and get some answers as well. So additionally, we are encouraging people to submit their email addresses if they would like to receive email updates from Seldovia Village Tribe in regard to our COVID testing protocols. And so if you need links, I can give Heidi the links and she can pass those along, Heidi, if you don't mind, to the council members. That would be great. Thank you. A couple other things. This is the time of year that it gets so dark. It's so dark out and about, and especially for people who are walking or little children and such. And we just want to make sure that everybody's safe. And I don't know if our chief of police is back or in town or on the job, but this is just the time of year that it would help if the city would do an inventory or survey of all of the street lights to determine which lights have stopped working and notify HEA so that those can get back up and running. So it's pretty dark out there. And with that, the Chamber of Commerce always asks and encourages individuals, especially along Main Street, to get the lights out, get those Christmas lights out, those winter lights out, and just shine up the street and keep Seldovia as safe for everybody as possible. And as a person who walks or scoots, I will tell you it is awful dark. So that would be greatly appreciated. Additionally, Heidi, if you can just make note for the city maintenance crew that I noticed with all of the big limb clearing that happened out along the state roads, it just drew attention to the fact that we have a fair amount of alders that are growing in along city roads. And I will tell you in particular area, that is the hill that goes from Pete's Point up into the Red Roof District. So I live right along that hill by Phil Bridges' place. But what I am observing is that many of our elders are choosing to drive up that hill on the left side of the road. And I think if those alders were removed, it would allow them to move their way back over to the other side. But I would hate for us to have an accident simply because brush has grown into the street. And the same thing for the corner between Chris Wheeler's grocery store and Main Street Market. So right below the old Methodist church there, that tree just continues to grow out into the street, and it's forcing people to come out into the street, and just not a safe situation if we don't trim those back. So I would really, really greatly appreciate that. I think that's my list. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laurel. Do we have anyone else, Madam Clerk?
Not that I see at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Item I, Committee Advisory Board Reports. Do we have any?
Not this evening, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right, we are on to item J, public hearings. Resolution 21-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, urging Governor Dunleavy and the Alaska Legislature to establish Alaska Marine Highway System Governing Board to support the replacement of MV Tustamina and to continue providing this vital and critical transportation service to the small Alaskan coastal communities. Madam Clerk, if you'd address that.
Yes, thank you. So this is Resolution 2113. It's on pages 9 and 10 of your regular packet. This came about after seeing the final report from the work group that Governor Dunleavy established. And then after the mayor and myself and Bobby Sweat, Councilmember Sweat also attended a meeting with, or the SVT put on a healthy chatter meeting with Representative Stutes and Senator Stevens. The resolution was already in the works, but after speaking and hearing from Representative Stutes, it became really apparent just how much we needed to reach out and request or urge Governor Dunleavy and Alaska Legislature to follow through on some of those recommendations in that final report. One being that an operating board was created with overhead, I think, of 9 members, and that's included in the resolution, just to help in that long-term vision of what's happening with the Alaska Marine Highway System. Right now, there's such a turnover rate with administration that it's hard to have that longevity and that long-term vision. So the thought was that establishing a governing board that would still answer to the governor and DOT, but just would have that oversight, that initial oversight over AMHS would help support that organization. Also in the report, it talks in one spot about the focus of replacing the MV Tustamina in 2014, or how in 2014 that was the focus. But then in the recommendations, it does not speak specifically to replacing that vessel. And I would like to note that also in the packet following, I did have Representative Stutes' office did reach out to the city and provided a couple of letters that speak to the STIP, which is the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. You'll see in the resolution it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whereas it's down the Statewide Transportation Improvements Program covering all system improvements for which partial or federal funding is approved and expected to take place during 4-year durations. This is the program that overlooks all of that federal funding and how those projects will be organized or what years they'll take place in. And they just passed an amendment that they had out for public comment. It closed on October 23rd that moved the projected budget for the replacement of the MV Tustamina. Was supposed to happen in 2020, and they have now moved it to 2023. So I included that in the resolution along with the letters back and forth between a few of the representatives and Senator Gary Stevens, Representative Louis Stutes, and a few of the others, and Commissioner McKinnon. So those are in there for your guys to view, but we thought that was an important part to include in the resolution, that needs to not be forgotten, and the importance of replacing that particular vessel versus perhaps another day boat, which sounds like it was maybe suggested that a vessel did need to be built, but perhaps not ocean capable vessel. So just wanted to keep urging that ocean capable vessel is very important. And lastly, the resolution speaks to continuing to provide that vital and critical transportation service to small Alaska communities. We don't want to be forgotten. It does specifically talk about in the report that it is understood that serving very small communities with the fare system model will never be cost efficient. It is also understood and appreciated that affordable transportation options are important to them. Ideally, if the overall Alaska Marine Highway system could be made revenue cost positive, it could absorb losses on these runs. And it's just a message that we need to keep putting out there, is that it is important that even if it is not or never will be cost efficient, the service that they're providing is invaluable. So if that meets everybody's needs, or if there's any amendments to it, that is the resolution there that it was put forward.
Thank you, Heidi. Council discussion. Council, I see somebody's hand waving. I'm not sure who it is.
This is Councilman
John.
Colbert. As for being cost effective or making money, as the state puts it, Tuscaloosa makes more money than all of the entire combined roads in the entire state. The state makes zero funds off them roads. So if they want to talk about being cost effective, it's more cost effective than the highways. And at $1 million a mile from Anchorage to Homer is $220 million annually. And that's just one stretch of road. I would
Thank you.
like to see that put in there, that it is more cost effective than all of the roads combined in state.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Council?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Sweat would like to speak.
Yes, please.
Yeah, oh boy. While I definitely support this resolution, and I want to commend Representative Stutes and Stevens for trying their hardest to, be positive with this and for pushing for not only us, but all the coastal communities. Unfortunately, with the current administration, his budget's about, did this come out in January? Do you guys know, Heidi?
I would have to look that up.
Well, anyway, it's coming. And I can't wait to see what he's gonna do to the Marine Highway as far as budget cuts. So, like I say, I support the resolution. I wanna be optimistic, but I don't think it's gonna fly, I don't know. I hope we end up with some service, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, Dunleavy's he's not a supporter of this, so we'll just have to wait and see what he does. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other council members like to speak on resolution 2113? I'm not seeing any hands. I would just, Madam Clerk, if I may, I would just like to say I'm full support of this resolution, and I applaud the resolution that was put together, and also that we all need to be diligent when staying on top of this and not let it flounder. I think we've got good support with our representatives and our senator and the letter that was submitted. So we just need to be diligent, but I applaud the good work done on the resolution. That's all. Any other council member have anything to say before we go to public?
Just one more, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we have to stay on top of this. We have to see where it goes. We have to write letters. We have to, get on Stutes and Stevens however much we can. Like I said, we're very supportive, but, yeah, we can't let this go by the wayside for sure. Thanks.
Any last call for council members? Otherwise, we'll go to the public. I don't see any hands. Heidi, is that correct? We'll go to the public.
Okay. I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, then I will go back to council. What are your wishes?
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution 21-13.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor, Madam Clerk?
Nathan,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Colburn,
Aye.
Morrison,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item K, unfinished business, we have none. Item L1, we have consideration of placement of the small business economic development rental buildings, vacating the right-of-way and legal comment. Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you. In your laydown, there's a legal opinion as requested on pages 8 through 19. And after doing a review of this afternoon, it looks like the legal opinion, hold on up here, contains information on the city's ability to encroach on the right of way without a permit. At the beginning, it does talk about Lollipop Park being, let me find the exact word, sorry about that. Lollipop Park not necessarily being in the wrong because we do, or the city does have the ability to encroach in that right of way without a permit, as long as it's through the city manager's office. You'll have that ability. So it says that, short answer, page 9. The city cannot vacate roads on its own, and it is not likely that the Kenai Peninsula Borough will grant a complete vacation of either road because each provides access to public waters, a circumstance that is protected in borough law. However, a partial vacation of Peninsula Street may be possible and sufficient to accomplish the city's goal. As to Lollipop Park, the current use is probably consistent with the preservation of Harborview Drive Road as access to the public waters, and so vacation is likely unnecessary. Further, it appears that the city, through the city manager's office, is able to place encroachments in either road without seeking any prior approval. It does go on to discuss KPB ordinances and city ordinances, talk about the importance of that water access, how partial vacation is allowed. On page 14, it discusses that through the borough. But it does also mention that their right of ways in their code are different than the city. And I know that the KPB right of ways are supposed to be 40 feet, which is right where that Peninsula Street right of way is 40 feet, which is the requirement for KPB. We've been able to pass through plats through the Sylvia Planning Commission that goes up to KPB Commission. With smaller street size, but KPB does have a hard time with that. Sorry, it's hard to hear. I can take that off. KPB has had a hard time with those plats not having the full street size as recommended by KPB. In the end, on page 17, not 17, sorry. Page 17, it says recommendation. We recommend against undertaking a major project such as the one envisioned for Peninsula Street Road without seeking partial vacation of the road from the borough. However, it seems apparent that the city has ample authority on its own to build smaller projects, such as a restroom or memorial in Lollipop Park without seeking vacation of the road. They say they remain available to discuss this matter, but they do not, it looks like, recommend vacating that road for the Peninsula Street. But you can encroach.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yeah, I would I think this is great that we finally got some information on here, and it's kind of a path that we can move forward with. But also on the short answer that they have on our page 9, they do talk about at the last sentence of the first paragraph under short answer. Further, it appears that the city, through the city manager's office, is able to place encroachments in either right-of-way without seeking any prior approval. So I think we have, this is good news to me, that it looks like we have possibilities of moving forward in this direction if the council feels so intended. Okay, I will turn over to council members who would like to speak to this. Or is there do we want to put it, postpone it and move it forward for another meeting and talk about it at another time when we have all of our information and dedicate some time specifically to this?
It looks like Mr. Nathan and Ms. Sweat would like to speak.
Okay, great. Go ahead, George.
I wasn't in favor of vacating this right of way where the buildings are set now, from the outset, and I haven't changed my mind. I don't think that's a good idea. We should be able to figure out something else besides doing this. I think we're opening a big can of worms by encroaching on the right of way there. So probably we should put this off, talk about it some more later on down.
Thank you, George. Ms. Sweat.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to have some more time to read through this. Personally, I would like to see us address this at the next meeting and vote on what we're going to do with those buildings, because snow is coming, and if we're going to move them, we're going to have to move them pretty soon. And I'd just like to see us move forward with doing whatever it is we're going to do with them. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Anyone else on council? Is that you, Pearlie?
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm in total agreement with not interfering with that right away. I think if the long-term dream comes along and we do establish more buildings along that line, we're going to need access to the water on that end between the pavilion and the buildings. I think it'd be too bad to lose that water access, to even just encroach on it and and then, do I understand that the buildings are now encroached on the right of way where they're setting?
No.
I'm all in favor of leaving the buildings right where they're at and move them for snow, I guess, if that's going to be happening, but I think again, I'll say with some aesthetics and a little bit of landscaping and some beautification there, without costing a whole lot of money, could really make them buildings a little more appealing. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? John, I believe I see your hand.
I agree with Pearlie, and I agree with Bobby also. I think we need to have this on the next meeting and move forward with it. I think they'd be good right where they're at. And if it starts expanding and going, and then we can move it forward again.
Thank you, John. George, I think your arm just went up.
Just one more question about the buildings. Do we have any idea what we're going to charge for rents? That's still not, no, or?
I don't think that's been determined.
Yeah, I don't think that's been discussed or determined.
Looks like Ms. Payton would like to speak, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Miss. Go ahead, Harmony.
To expand on George's question, do we have any sort of idea what our contract or lease options are on those? Do you guys have an idea of when those are going to begin? Because if you are going to want to start leasing those out for someone in the spring, when people are going to start wanting to get ready for a tourist season, we're going to want to have them established sooner than later. And I would assume. Do you have any of that lined out?
Bobby, would you like to address that, or Heidi? I can't tell whose hand is up there.
I just would like to make a statement. I think there might be some confusion. We have not decided yet.
Okay.
Well, the original plan was they were going to be where they are now.
Mhm.
But then there was, a lot of controversy, blah, 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 so it was decided, we would rethink that and possibly move them. So that's where we are right now. We're trying to decide where to move them to. Either next to the pavilion, leave them where they are, or move them down to the boat ramp in that general area and create something down there. So that's where we're at right now.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just one last thing, I'm in contact with an individual that's interested in renting one of those things, for a monitor repair, business. And of course, first thing he's asked is what's it gonna cost? We start working on an economic plan for the things as well. We seem to beat the moving horse to death here. Maybe we should try to make some decisions about, okay, this is where they're gonna be, this is how they're gonna be used, and start casting around, trying to find some renters for them.
And where venues will be available.
Are you done, George? I couldn't hear.
I'm done, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I would say that it sounds like the council would like to put this for an item on next week's agenda, or 2 weeks from our next meeting, and have a thorough discussion and perhaps make a plan and commit to it. And then, George, your concerns about, and I'm sure for people who want to rent the buildings, is what it's going to cost and where are we at? So I think it sounds like we want to put it on our next meeting and make some forward motion with it. Is that correct, council? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, okay. And so if there's nothing more from the council, we'll go to the public, if anyone's there who'd like to speak on this.
I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Heidi, do you need any motion or consensus of the council to put it on our next meeting?
That's fine. I will just move it to the next meeting. And I can more of a plan or some options for rental costs associated with those buildings as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item L2, city manager hiring considerations. This will be a possible executive session for matters, the immediate knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finances of the corporation, contract negotiations. I think we wanted the city. Heidi, I'll direct this over to you where we're at.
Yes, so Ms. Friedlander, we did offer Ms. Friedlander a original offer or an initial offer, and she did come back with a counter offer, which can be discussed in executive session for matters of immediate knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon the finances of the corporation. If you'd like to invite her in to discuss those, that contract and those negotiation terms, to see if you can move forward. That's what would be the stage you'd be at right now.
So I will entertain a motion from council.
You were talking about having Ms. Friedlander present for the first part of this
Correct.
executive session.
Correct, yes, she's requested to be a part of the conversation, and it has the link for that executive session if you'd like to have her present for the first part. And then you can, if you need to ask her to excuse herself so that you guys can talk amongst yourselves about what you'd like to offer, and then bring her back, that's fine.
Might be more useful for us to have a little discussion among ourselves first and then bring her in.
George, if I may, I'm sorry, were you done speaking? Yeah, we can have it maybe both ways. What I was hoping that she could do is give us a summary of her terms that she has countered the city of Selovia's terms with, just to give us a little overview or a summary of where she's coming from, and then we can excuse her and we can go into executive session. And then if we have more questions, then she would be available if that suits the council. It's for my own reasons. For my own clarification, I thought I would like to hear from her, her reasons and her state of her terms, of her offer that she's countering with, if that's okay with council. That was my intent.
Don't we have a hard copy of her counter offer to us?
Yes, it's in your email in your packet, and there was yes, it's in your email.
And mind you, is that still the way you want to proceed?
I'll go with whatever council was interested in doing. I just, for my own sake, I was hoping to hear it from her own words, her own mouth, her terms and reasons why, but we can do it either way. It's up to council. How do the rest of you feel about it? Would you like to talk about it in executive session first and then ask Ms. Freelander for clarifications, or have her potentially speak to us twice?
Rather we do have our discussion and then we have her in.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just have a quick question, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, Bobby, you cut out.
Oh, I just, whichever is the correct way for us to do this is, I think, how we need to do it. And I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Pearlie, did I see your hand up or?
Yeah, I think, I'm kind of leaning toward George a little bit, where, we listen to what she's got to say, and then we can, because we have a hard copy of what she's already countered.
Okay, so maybe we can, if it's okay with council, if it's not a big problem, maybe we can have her walk through her offer with us. It sounds like there's 3 people who would like to do that if it's not a problem with the rest of the council. And then again, remember, she will be available to come back when we have more questions, and I'm sure we will. But maybe she could walk us through, so we're all on the same page of what her counter offer is. If that is not a problem for anyone, could we work that way? And then if it's not a problem for her to come back to us, George, would that work okay for you and John?
That's not work. I don't have any, that's fine.
Okay, all right. So I will entertain a motion, I believe, at this point, or do we, yes. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Before you
Yes.
entertain a motion, would you like to ask the council if they have any discussion on the matter?
Say that again, you cut out.
Sorry, before you entertain a motion, would you like to ask the public if they would have any discussion?
Yes, sorry, yes. And we'll go to the public. Any public would like to comment?
Seeing any time at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, I will entertain a motion, and that's from council.
Yeah, I move to enter executive session for matters of immediate knowledge of which would clearly have an adverse effect upon finances of government for the city manager contract negotiations, and invite Rachel Freelander for part of the discussion, and city clerk Heidi Gagel for part of the discussion in order to answer budgetary questions as needed.
I'll second.
Okay, and all those in favor, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Nathan,
Aye.
Ms. Sweat,
Aye.
Mr. Colbert,
All right.
Mr. Morrison,
I,
Ms. Rojas,
Aye.
Ms. Payton. Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Okay, so, oh, go ahead, Heidi.
For those that are in the public, if you would like, I can send you a text message or I'll send Laurel one to send out to everybody to come back after the executive session is over. If that works for everybody, just give us a minute and we will see you when we're ready to come back in, when the council's ready to come back in.
Okay, shall we take 5 minutes to regroup, log out and log back in? Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, all righty.
Run outside.
So let's go ahead and close. And
Good to be.
you're gonna have to pause it on inside the meeting, not here.
Oh, really small. I'm the only one left.
Yep, that's fine. And more, you wanna add that streaming, so more?
Good.